everybody, it's Romania Black, and I am super excited because we are on Dungeon Meshi, aka Delicious in Dungeon, episode 3. So I survived my first cooking experience, which is great. Now, as my brother and I were talking about, we basically decided that there's obviously going to be some episodes where the cooking prep and the meals that we make are going to maybe require 1 or 2 episodes to get through, but then there could be some other episodes like today's episode where the cooking is going to be just like a one episode. We're going to get through it. So you all will see what we're going to be making at the conclusion of this video. It's going to be a recipe from episode 2, but we'll see. Maybe there's something in today's episode that I will want to make next week. So we'll just happen to wait and see. Or it may be one of those situations where I wait until next week and see what we make in that episode and then determine. Like I said with episode 1, where we had the hot pot versus the tart. If I chose to make the tart, I would have gone out and bought a tart. And that would have been like, and here we're heating it up. And here we're serving it. Whereas the hot pot was an event. That was so much fun. We had so much fun doing it. It made me 2 more meals after that, which my entire kitchen smelled like seafood for a while after that. So keep note, the lobster, if you use it, and the seafood broth, your trash and your kitchen will smell of seafood and a little bit fishy for times after that. But how festive, right? So when we last left off, Laios and our crew were making their way a little bit further into the dungeon, and we saw Sinshi and Chilchuck get a little bit closer together. They got further in their bonds, you know, which was really sweet. I really like the top 4 that we have in our group so far. Their chemistry, the way they interact with one another. It's so much fun, and I really am enjoying it. So I can't wait to see what this crew is going to get up to as the series goes on. So with that being said, we're not going to waste any more time. We're going to dive right in and see what we get this episode. So I hope you all enjoy, but we're going to start Dungeon Meshi, aka Delicious in Dungeon, episode 3. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Sup? I love the little walking mushroom. Now it makes so much sense now. Oh, start with the OP. All right. And Laios with that sword, our warrior, and Marcel. I love the little sprig coming out of her staff. Now I like that Phelan's staff is like a lantern, which is interesting. Like she's a light source for her group, perhaps. And Chilchuck's connected to the sea, maybe, and then Sinshi with the nature. I like it. Now, it looked like maybe Chilchuck and Marcel were in that group with the other dwarf, or maybe it's a different person. We still don't know who this dark-haired individual is either. And then Phelan. Or Fallon. Oh, it is Bump of Chicken. Yes, I think maybe I knew that, but it sounds like them. Okay, and then the opposite being Laios and Phelan both reaching for each other's hands. Interesting. And everybody's trying to go deep in the dungeon to get the one piece. There's a griffin there I'm interested in. And the fact that Laios is falling into a vat that looks like blood. I'm curious. Is cannibalism going to be a thing in this? I've thought about that the last episode, but I don't want to know answers. Oh, there's like a griffin on top of the tower there. Okay. I mean, right. It's going to make it feel better. Oh. Nice. I love Chilchuck just trying to figure it out. There we go. Nice. Ooh, the griffin only, one of its wings has been taken off. Interesting. Oh. Its wings are gone. The decoration. But, uh, or glue. I mean, then was it? Oh, 3 years ago. A gold peeling crew. Oh. Oh. Interesting. And they all have like a dwarf and a thief and all this. Oh. Oh. Oh, and she has like a different little staff than she did. Oh, wow. Oh. Well, that's creepy. Oh, wow. This is eerie. Ominous. Nope. Yeah. Oh, shit. Oh. 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 Well. Oh. Will we ever see her open her eyes? Oh, my God. Oh, shit. Oh, no. Crap. Oh, my gosh. Oh. Oh, my God. Oh. Oh, sweet brother. Why is one moving but not the other? Oh. Oh. What causes one to move but not the other one? Oh, shit. Oh, my God. But how did you live? Like the first death you saw? Oh, living armor. They talked about that. Uh. Oh, I thought maybe there was like a scorpion or something living inside of it, making it move. Oh. Uh. I thought it would be like a monster controlling it, which would make sense why some of the armor moved and some didn't. Oh my God, this is just like before. He looks so innocent there with his big eyes. Just running. Oh my God. Of course it'll be one towards the end that moves. Probably. Shit. Oh my God. Since she's like, I didn't skip leg day, bitch. How did Laios, like, not die? Or is that just his memory not remembering correctly? Well, he does have a sister that's a mage, so I guess she could have healed him. But she didn't seem that confident back then. It has to have... Why does it put the helmet back on? Oh. So now what? And then he just like runs back, yeah. Huh. Well, that's interesting that Marcel thinks that and he thinks different. Yeah, how do we know that? Right. Uh-huh. Ah. Maybe. Possibly. That's a thought. I mean, Stingy with the pot. Right. Theoretically. Uh-huh. Mm. Ha! Good luck. Oh, I'm no good in combat. Right. So when you cut off the head, it needs eyes and ears. So if you took all their helmets off, they would stop to go get the heads back on, right? Oh, maybe? Maybe? Oh my God, Sinchi. Oh, okay, girl, good, good. Blast their heads off. Oh my God. Laios being sneaky is hilarious to me. Ooh. Oh, shit. Oh my God. What? Oh, it's like the head one. Yeah. Oh, I love the lighting. Yeah. Oh. All right, Laios, what are we doing? Oh my God. Oh. Oh, shit. Well, or maybe that won't work. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh shit. Oh no, not again. So now what? Oh. Oh. Oh, yeah, there is something on it. What is this? What is this? The fuck is this? The fuck is that? What? Oh, so there is a creature controlling it. No. Right. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yay! All right. Right. Oh, good job, Laios. And I'm going to eat it. Yes! Oh my God. Oh shit, no! Damn, Sinchi. What is this? What is this shot? This angle is Sinchi. Oh my God. Oh, girl, no. Oh my god, that stick is pretty strong to withhold a strike from a sword. I like that Laios has like zoned them out to focus on this. Of course, he wouldn't try to kill just the egg because he's going to want to eat that later. Mmm. Ew. Ew. Right. No, that doesn't seem unlikely. Ugh. Maybe it's the egg itself. Uh-huh. Oh, shit. Oh, 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 get the egg. Get it. Oh. So what do we do? Oh. No. Is this like a facehugger thing? Oh! Oh my gosh. Oh. Oh my god. Oh, and they're all inside of it. Oh my god, there's so many. Oh, that's so crazy in all the joints. Oh my god, you're thinking of that right now? Yes, you don't have time for this. No! Now's not the time. Oh. Oh. No. Like, since she's gonna be so excited. And something's clinging between them. Ah! Wow. That's so cool. Oh my god, I love it. Ah! Oh my god. Ah! Oh my god. Laios gets so excited. Uh-huh. Ah! Don't tell him that. Ah! She's like, no. No. Now, Marcel. It's a mystery till that first bite. Don't you worry about food poisoning, girl. So who knows? She's like, no, I am not taste testing. Ah! Her chest is it, yes. True. True. Oh my God, these two are just gonna be ridiculous. Chilchick's like, I like a scallop. Oh, okay. Oh my God. Oh my God. I love that Laios like, look how exciting this is. Chilchick's like, I'm getting wood. I'm not messing with this. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Laios is like, but we could have them. Okay. Right. It's kind of like stir fry. Oh my God. It looks like calamari kind of, or maybe oysters. Oh my God. Maybe calamari or clams. Just get some clam strips. It smells like iron, yeah. He's like so excited. Oh. Oh. Uh-huh. Ah! If he dies, we're gonna leave him here. Did he die? No. Oh my God. Okay. He's like, oh, I have to eat it. Yeah, it was stir fried, so we'll just go with that. The stir fry will make up for it. We're definitely sticking with the omelet for this episode. Well, yeah. There's so much to taste like mushrooms, I'm sure. Oh, no. Ew! Huh. Well, look what we found here. Be a shellfish. True. Ah. He's like creating this entire scientific narrative. Oh my God. Oh my God. You can drop it. I was like, I've gotten to know their sacred gathering. Yeah. He's going to take the sword that has the living armor in it. Really? And a pet? A new sword and a pet? Uh-huh. Oh my gosh. Laios has adopted a little pet, a little living armor. Dude, you better be careful. You're wearing armor. That thing will try to infest it. And there's Chilchuck and Marcel. I like Marcel's little ponytail. That's super cute. And then Fallon. Aww. Like this is the town they all met at. So yeah, the dwarf woman was there. She looks a little bit like Nimona, honestly. And then this guy. And then all the meeting. Oh, that's so cute. I love it. Of Marcel and Fallon and them. Oh, wow. And the dragon being found under there. Interesting. And they all met up. I wonder why the one guy looks like he's green in the face. Maybe it's just a shade from the trees. Yeah. I like Chilchuck getting onto her. Oh, Studio Trigger did this. Nice. Well. Is that a preview? Yeah, it's just Netflix. Never mind. Never mind. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. I freaking love Laios. This is a good episode. So rule of 3. I know that I have my rule of 8, which we'll talk about when we get to it. If for those of you not familiar with the channel, I do have a rule of 8 that the 8th episode is usually really, really good. We'll tackle that when we get to it. But a rule that I just became kind of aware of in the last year or so is the concept of like the general rule of 3. So if you start a series and you want to see like, is that 3rd episode going to be the make or break? Honestly, the 1st episode, I was on board. I was like, nope, I'm with these characters. I like this concept of going to save his sister. I think that's really cool. I'm all for that. But I definitely think that this episode, being the 3rd episode, it definitely establishes that Laios is not afraid to be a little dangerous and to take some risks. And I'm like, okay, all right. He's definitely my favorite character so far. I really like Laios a lot. I think that it's cool how he wants to go save his sister, but he's also like in the moment being like, well, while we're on our way, we might as well have some fun. So... and he just adds a lot of dimension. And I really love the deadpan humor of them being like, is he going to die? We're going to see if he's going to die. It's great. So I want to go through this episode and just kind of talk about it. Mainly that when we start out, it feels like, as Marcel says, as you go deeper into the dungeon, you feel twice as tired walking. And when you're hungry as well. And since she's, says the obvious that when you're hungry, yeah, you're going to feel really fatigued, but it's going to make that meal feel really good. It's kind of like whenever you go on a trip to New York City, for example, or you go to a big city and walk around, you mainly walk all day and you're tired and exhausted. And when you sit down to eat that meal, it's just that much good, much better. And it's just, it makes the trip worth it, right? So definitely establishing that in this episode. Now, when we get to this trap door, Laios has the little decal on his sword, but as he establishes, I thought it was going to be something really important that the sword decal did. I had a whole scenario figured out in my head when we started this episode, and it did not go that way at all. And so as we were going, I was like, oh, okay, never mind. But I thought that the sword decal, one, falling off his sword, was the product of the Griffith head that had lost a wing, because then in the flashback it had a wing. So I was like, okay, is the Griffith head controlling the living armor? Is the Griffith head like stealing wings off of the decals to try to replace its own lost wing? Is it gonna be? In my head, I was going through all of these fake scenarios that ended up not being true at all. And I was just like, oh yeah, this is exactly what's going to happen. And none of that ended up happening. So, but apparently as Chilchuck uses the sword to find the trap door mechanism, we lose. I don't want to see if it actually showed it coming off and to see if it popped off and we could see that happening. But it's come off by the time he gets the door open, right? The little wings are gone. And I think I noticed that at first. So when we saw the Griffith with one wing gone, I was like, oh, was it because of the wing? Did them popping the wing off the sword like trigger something with the Griffith head? What happened? And we just talked about that with the OP in there being a griffin. So I was like, Which I'm wondering, with all of the decals on the castle and all of these elements that kind of look like a griffin, and we saw the griffin in the opening, if maybe at the bottom of the dungeon there's going to be either a griffin in the treasure room or wherever you're supposed to go to, or if one of the mages is protected by a griffin. We'll just have to wait and see, won't we? But I like the idea of history repeating itself a little bit, and us going back in the past and then going back to the future with this episode with the living armor. And so like, oh, I almost forgot that the door led here. So they've been in this part before. And Laios even makes a point of saying that, like, their group went there before, but then he notes that the sword decal is gone. And he's like, oh. And he's like, the decoration on my sword is gone. They're like, well, was it really important? And he's like, no, it's not important. I just didn't want to lose it. I feel like Fallon having ties to, in the OP and Edie, she has ties to birds. So I feel like maybe, and Fallon, I think of falcon. So maybe that's a tie that she has like a bird motif. And maybe that's what maybe he thinks of his sister when he sees it. So I don't know. But I like that Laios points out that the decal's not really important, but he's like, well, it was a memento, but he's like, it was from something that I gained with my sister. And so I like, okay, so 3 years ago, we go back to the past. He's bulked up in 3 years. Just a wee bit. So they look like they're like maybe 16 at the time. They look like they're 16 or 17 at the time, or maybe 15. But the two of them, they definitely look like siblings when they're next to each other. I love their matching like armor that they have. Also, her staff is not the same as it was from the OP. It's not the lantern. It's just like a basic ring. So they definitely look like beginners. They look like their first year at My Hero Academia. They're not full-fledged superheroes yet, but I do like the idea that 3 years ago they were just starting out. So Laios is relatively new to this whole game. Like, he's like, we were just starting out and we're part of a gold peeling crew to get some experience. I love the idea that Laios has been in this dungeon, in this top layer, many times, working with other teams, other crews. I also love the concept in this that you jump from other parties to gain experience, and if things don't work out in one party, you go to another party and you go to the next. That's something really cool that you don't normally see in series, right? Now, granted, most of these guys look like they died from the living armor, but usually in a series that I've watched, you only get the story from, oh, the party got together and they all band together and they all met and decided to go and conquer the dungeon themselves, but they don't really have any prior experience. The closest thing I had to something different was back when I watched Freerun. That was like a different party, but party members had prior experience and could talk about the past. But here, it didn't seem like this where people just jumped to and from like the teams do in this series, which I think is kind of cool. It feels very D&D. It feels very much like, well, one campaign gets over and party A, member moves over to party B, and party C member comes from party B, and there's just all this like a shuffling of everyone. So that leads me to believe that maybe we'll see the samurai and the red-haired woman again from the OP, only they'll be in a different party. Maybe the dark-haired individual that is in the OP has known Laios before and from a different party experience, and they'll meet again. It opens up avenues for a lot of different things. And I like that about this show, that there's a lot of opportunities to see how prior interpersonal communications have built these group dynamics. And it makes me a little worried because then it opens up the idea of, well, what if this party splits up and goes different ways? I don't know if I want that. So we'll just wait and see. But they joined this gold peeling crew and they're like, yeah, this castle was completely covered in gold and the peeling made it quite profitable. And now this place has been mostly peeled already. I think that also is important to note because the idea, I hadn't thought of this, but we don't know exactly how long, like if it's been 100 years or whatever since this castle, since the mage made their proclamation and said, go find the One Piece. We don't know exactly how long that's been, but it's been long enough for these castles to be peeled for gold. That seems like it's been a while. So that part is all interesting to me as well. Also, I love that just like in D&D, you have different, parties created from different groups of people. So there's a guy there that looks like Frodo Baggins, looks like a Chilchuck there, looks like a little halfling. Then you also have a dwarf. You also have a guy that's probably human, and you have someone else. So it's like you have these different variations of the same formula of crew, right? To be balanced. I think that's really cool. And of course, they'd want Laios and his sister, because his sister looks like a mage, so she can use magic, and they would want that to help as well. And I like that Fallon's like, we're not very experienced. This could be dangerous. And he's like, well, but we can't turn back on our own. We came down here with this crew. We can't just go back. Also, we don't see her eyes. So I think that's interesting too. Laios is very pragmatic. He's very much, I don't know if pragmatic's the right word, but Laios gets in his mind an idea, and then he logically justifies that idea and why it has to be that way. So he formulates that, well, we can't leave the party now, even though it's dangerous, because they helped us get down there and we can't go back on our own. And she's like, okay. She's also very supportive of her brother, which is really super sweet. And that makes sense why she helped them get out of the dungeon back with the dragon, because she's like, I want you to be safe. So I like that sibling bond between Fallon and Laios already. I really like that. That's sweet. But yeah, they decide to join and they go into where we see, I wonder if the whole, again, I think the griffin is just a decoration for the entire castle. And then we see the living armor. What's interesting is the living armor, you can see where the joints and stuff have separated, like the living armor edible creature like escaped that way. And the fact that it was like a mollusk and that the armor was like a clamshell where each of the joints like shut up. So creative. I loved that. The moment that they first saw the living armor move, but some of the armor pieces moved and some didn't, I was like, you wondered, you're like, well, why didn't all of them move together? Because if they were all, here was my logic, if they were all under a spell, all of the suits of armor would move all at once, right? Because somebody would be casting a spell over the area, it would control all of the armor at once, so they would all move. But that didn't happen, so I was like, and usually when they say living armor, they were talking about cooking different elements. So I'm like, okay, well, you can, Laios made the joke about eating living armor, and they were like, what? But so the idea that some of the armor pieces moved and others didn't, I was like, okay, well, only certain ones are controlled by the living armor, so maybe the living armor is a creature. I thought what it was, I didn't even think about the joints, didn't even think about it. I thought the inside, the head or the chest plate would be like the egg, only the egg was like the creature controlling it. That's what I thought it was. And I thought that when you saw the egg on the inside of the shield, you were like, oh, well, that's the creature controlling the living armor. It's just like telekinetically controlling the whole thing together. No, this was a lot more clever, and I really, really liked figuring it out alongside Laios, who's so excited about discovering new monsters. Again, I'm reading Scum Villain Self-Saving System, and one of the main characters, he's enamored by the monsters that he sees in the series, and he knows all about them and everything. And Laios reminds me a little bit about Shin Ching Cho. A little bit about Shin Ching Cho, not very much past that, but they're both into monsters, so that's good to know. But damn, the one living armor just stabbing the guy in the throat, just spare no expense. This series was not afraid to be bloody and just downright like, oh, just in case you didn't know, we're gonna like totally be gory right now. I love instantly though that Laios protects his sister. He draws his sword and he backs her up and protects her. And she looks like she's not too sure to what to do because they're inexperienced. Best brother. I love Laios in this. It's really sweet. But yeah, we find out how he got the sword. And then my thing was he saves his sister and gets where the armor is and he fights back against the armor. But then he gets stabbed like literally in the chest by the living armor. And he says something like that happened. And it like goes straight through him. So I'm like, Laios, did you die? What? And then what he says after that, he says, and this is the sword I got then. And she's like, so you lost. And he's like, it was my first death. So for a while, simply seeing an armor terrified me. Now, that line there, it was my first death. I'm like, wait a minute. Was it the first death you saw? Like the guy getting killed? Or was it your first death? Like you've died before? What? My heart is telling, my head logically is saying, oh no, it was the first time Laios saw someone die, so the living armor would scare him because, yeah, you saw someone die from it. Of course, you'd be terrified of it the next time you saw it. You'd instantly equate that. But I'm like, is Laios immortal? Is he? I don't think he is. But, because then they were like, did he die? So I'm like, did his sister bring him back from the dead? What? But I don't think that's the case. I don't think Laios has died more than once because one, then why would his sister be afraid of him getting hurt by the dragon? Why would that be a thing? And two, why would they think that he died when he ate the living armor? Because if he's immortal. So just the way that the translation and the subtitles worded that, I was like, wait, what? So presumably though, he had just seen someone die and was scared about it. Right? So anyway, he's like, I read a lot of documents, but none of them described how they tasted. And so he's like, I want to find some armor to eat them. And since she's like, well, I've never heard of anybody eating living armor. And Marcel's like, you can't eat metal. And he's like, no, surely there's a way to do it. We just got to catch one. And I like that Chilchuck's like, look, if you're hungry enough for your own armor, then just cook and eat your own. And he's like, but I guess we can't. He's such a puppy dog. He's like, I guess we can't eat living armor. He's just such a puppy dog. I want to like gently hold Laios. I want to gently hold him. Please. I would just want to gently hold him because he's just a sweetheart. And they're just like, come on. Let's go in here. So normally, I like this idea that normally you could just run past the living armor. It reminds me a lot of Legend of Zelda in the original Nintendo game, in the OG Nintendo. If you went into one of the caverns in the temple where the piece of the Hyrulean little pyramid was, or the Triforce, you could go into a dungeon room and there'd be these spikes that would try to like kill you on either side. But if you just ran really quick past them, then you would be fine. And that's what it reminded me of. But yeah, since she is a beast, since she just sitting there with his axe, taking them all out, what a monster. He just completely, I like that Chilchuck said he couldn't be useful in combat, but he holds his own throughout all of this. And Marcel's damn staff, it's pretty damn effective if she can hold off against a sword strike. I'm just saying. But one of my favorite things about this episode was following Laios along and trying to figure out the mystery of, okay, why do they need their helmets to see? And it's like, oh, because once they're inside the joints, they use it all like a muscle memory system. So they make themselves like a person and they split themselves apart to do that. And then I love the idea of them all trying to colonize and like find other like-minded like armor. The fact that he thought that possibly the armor was having sex through handshakes is so damn funny. And of course, as any marine biologist would be, Dr. Laios, he clearly is just interested in knowing how these creatures work. He's like, if I keep this one in my sword, I could try to farm it and then have my own like living armor supply. And I'm like, dude. Also, the fact that it has the creepy snail eyes. See, at that point, I couldn't be able to eat him because it's like a crawfish. If I see its little eyes, I can't eat that. I can't eat something looking back at me. Nope, can't do it. Eyes are windows to the soul, so we can't do it. But I really liked everyone working together on this. And Laios is like, look, somebody can be a distraction and someone can go to the door. And we can find the puppet master if they're behind the door. I love the visual. I actually thought there might be a wizard behind the door controlling all of it. I really did. And I'm glad that that wasn't the case. But Laios volunteering to go to the door. I love everyone's face with him. He's so serious. I'm going to take a picture of that. He's so serious. And then they're like, yeah, we're going to do your plan, but you'd better get on the inside of that door and figure out what this is. Hilarious. So yeah, they managed to go in. I love the dungeon where it's got all the vines and then the suit of armor with the griffin wings. Again, what's interesting about this is that they are suits of armor that have been left behind. So this whole suit of armor and the wings on the shield, it very much, I mean, high fantasy, of course, but it definitely gave me a Berserk vibe. I instantly thought it was like Griffith and Zod armor mixed together, which was kind of cool. But I love that concept of Laios. And Laios, you know what? You know what I love about Laios? He's super brave, but he also gets super hyper-focused in the moment where he's so focused on the task at hand that he just kind of forgot about everybody else outside. He's like, wait, oh, they're fighting out there too? Which, honestly, I don't blame him. I'd probably forget about it as well. I thought the animation on the armor was really, really good. But, okay, so when he throws the brick and realizes the egg on the shield, and then he thinks back, this, like, the segment with him and his sister and the dog, and the way that it's animated and looks like an acid trip, and this is inside of Laios' head, which Laios is the big brother, we find out, because Fallon is a lot younger than him, and he has the egg on a stick. It looks like it's not an egg, though. It looked like a wasp nest, but then, like, his mind has this, like, giant earth-shattering Big Bang moment that it's an egg case. And he's like, that means that it's edible. Look, that animation, I felt like Hellsing Abridged, where Alucard is like, the fuck is this? And it all, I guess, has this weird, funky animation behind it. I'm all for it, but the fact that it looked like an episode of Ed, Edd n Eddy was terrifying. And he's like, yeah, that means that there's something inside the armor. It's protecting the egg. That means I can eat it. He's like, this is perfect. I also want to point out that is this series making Sinshi out to be the most attractive character? Because that shot, look, I am all for series. I am all here for you. I am here for you. I have grown up watching so many shonen series that has like images of the female characters from the male gaze. I've had to deal with that my whole life. And I've been like, man, wouldn't it be something that the tables were turned for once? And so, you know what? You give us those Sinshi crotch shots. You go all for it, show. You know what? You be an equal opportunist. I'm all here for it. If you're going to get shots of Marcel like that, then you give us shots of Sinshi. I'm here for it. I'll take it. I was like, damn, Sinshi modeling for for Men's Vogue. Do it. I also love the idea that the armor doesn't matter if they swap parts, which is also interesting because if they're all individual living armor that split itself up into the crevices, if another part gets on another piece of armor, would that lead them to like getting together and making an egg? Who knows? Who even knows? But this scene had a very labyrinth feel to it. It reminded me with Laios versus the main living armor. It reminded me of like Sarah confronting Jareth, the Goblin King, and then she goes back to find the others and they're all battling like the other goblins. It kind of had that vibe. I love the lighting though. I love the light shining down on Laios as he's trying to figure out like, is it a slime? Is it a hive? What could it be? And Laios is really smart. He has an understanding of his opponent and what he's up against. And I like that Laios he's like himbo Sherlock sometimes, where he's such a Labrador himbo, but he has these moments where he's trying to figure out things, and it does work, and it makes sense, and it's fun to... Laios makes solving mysteries fun, because he puts it in a way that you're kind of on the same level with him, and you're like, yeah, what is that? And it's actually super cute. I'm kind of all about it. But yeah. And then he's like, well, there has to be something in the helmet. But then he realizes what's in the crevice. I love it. And he's like, oh, it's like a mollusk. And he's like, that means we can totally eat this. And when he goes outside and opens the door, he's like, everybody come here. And they're like, not now. It's so funny. I love it. I love they ended up being more mollusks than like a face hugger moment. Because I was afraid for a second it was going to be like a face hugger thing. And I was like, Alien is not my jam. That movie terrifies me to pieces. No, thank you. And so I was not going to have that. But I thought this was a nice little compromise. I thought that worked a lot better. But yeah, they are like little mollusks. It's super cute. And then Laios is like, yes. He's like, they do lay eggs. And he kind of gets like, whenever he finds out they lay eggs, he has like a crazy look. Whenever Laios has the possibility of eating monsters, he kind of goes a little stir crazy. And I could see why they all would be a little bit concerned. Because, like, this would cause a huge stir if we revealed this information. And I like that Chilchuk and Marcel are like, he's getting a little too excited about all this. But of course, since she understands his love of monsters and wanting to eat them. I also love Marcel taking her staff and like tugging it on Laios' head. That is super cute. I love their dynamics together. But the fact that it's like a clam or an oyster or a scallop makes a lot of sense. I also like that Chilchuk went and got the wood instead of like hollowing out and carving out the mollusks. I like fried calamari. Don't get me wrong. I like fried calamari. I don't like oysters, and I like clams if they're fried into like the little strips, but boiled or something. So we're not going to be making any living armor today. No, we're going to be doing something a little bit different from episode 2. That's going to be a little bit more reasonable. That's what we're going to be doing there. So although the stir fry, one thing I do like about this whole thing is that the characters do admit if things work or don't work, and they do treat it realistically, whereas Sinchi says, this is my first time making it, so I'm not exactly sure how it's going to pan out. And then whenever Chilchuk's like, well, it's okay. And then, the steamed one in the helmet, I don't know why Laios and them thought it would be a good idea. That sounded disgusting. And then whenever Sinchi's like, it's probably the mold, I was like that made me want to gag. I was like, nope. But yeah, them cooking everything. I love that Laios is the taste tester and they're like, did he die? And he's fine. And then they all have it and they're honest about whether it's good or not. So, but then Laios goes off on this big, entire tangent about the story of them reproducing. And he's like, well, they're likely hermaphrodites and the biggest colony there lays an egg. I love Laios in the background cheering them on while the head, suit of armor's in this sexy pose. Laios is right there with them. Like, dude. And then from there, he's like, oh, well, that means, oh my God, then the armor I occasionally see holding hands, that probably means that they might not have been adventurous fooling around. Oh my God. I love Marcel and Chilchuk's face where Marcel's like, are you serious? And Chilchuk's like, really? And since she's like, oh, okay. Ridiculous. And they're like, you can drop it now. And he's like, what a tasty and feeble monster. And then he goes to grab the one sword to take with him. And they're like, well, your sword broke, so you might as well take that one along. And so as he goes to take it, he sees the little remain of the living armor come on. And he's like, no, I want to take it with me. I feel like Laios is so proud that he discovered that the living armor is an actual creature. He's so proud that he's discovered this new creature that others said didn't exist. And he's like, I want to take it with me so that I can prove it later on. So I don't know. He has a whole thing of armor. So I'm like, Laios, is this living armor going to take over the armor that you have? Or is it going to become your pet? Okay. It would be kind of handy if the sword could move on its own. So if Laios gets in a pinch, the sword could save him. That would be kind of handy, but we'll just have to wait and see. I actually am really glad I don't get a preview for this series because it would be hard for me not to watch the preview. And so yeah, I didn't realize that they had a new companion. I have a feeling that Laios not only will want to eat the monsters, but he'll also want to take the monsters with him. Perhaps. I love it. Oh my God. Laios is just our underground dungeon marine biologist. So anyway, that's all well and good. This was a nice, simple, straightforward episode. We got Laios' backstory. We got a flashback with him and his sister. We got to discover a new monster. We got to see them all cooking everything. That was all well and good. But speaking of cooking, I'm going to let y'all see my brother and I try our hand at a dish from last week's episode. And I will see you all with episode 4. But in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and I hope you enjoy our full menu cooking section for Delicious in Dungeon Meshi episode 3. See you later. Well, hey everybody, we are now in the kitchen. My brother has not shown up yet to help film yet. So I wanted to just go ahead and do a little bit of prep work before he arrives and kind of show you all of the things that I have to cook with today. Now, luckily today is going to be a lot more simple than last week was, so that's a good thing. So let me just run through all the stuff that we have today to help make this. And I actually am going to give a shout out to Underdark Cellars. They are a YouTuber that actually did a cooking video that is going to be a lot shorter than this one and probably better, but I'll have a link down below to their video. Please go give it a watch as well. They had to substitute some ingredients as well as I did, but their video was super helpful, so hopefully you go give them a shout out as well. So thank you, Underdark Cellars, for having their video up first. It was a lot of help. So what we're going to be doing today is making basilisk omelets. As far as the basilisk goes, I was thinking when I think of snakes, my mind instantly goes to alligators, which instantly goes to gator meat, which I was like, oh, you know what? Finding alligator in the southern Midwest of the US should be easy. No. Unless you go to a carnival, that's probably not going to happen. So my next thought was, well, alligator meat, I've had it before, tastes like chicken. So I'd gotten some rotisserie chicken, but then when I watched Underdark Cellars videos and went back and rewatched episode 2, I thought, oh, it's more like bacon. So we're gonna go pretty easy today. We've got some just general bacon. I forgot how expensive bacon is. I was like, oh dang, this is like 10 bucks. But you can obviously substitute this out with a lot of things. I just chose bacon because it was something easy and I like bacon, but you could do turkey bacon. You could probably do chicken if you really wanted to. You could probably take ground up meat as well and make it work. But for the sake of the consistency, we're gonna be slicing up some of this into cubes and we're gonna be pan frying it as well. Now, obviously, if you didn't want to pan fry it, you could cook it in the oven, you could do it microwavable. There's a lot of options. We're just gonna go with the way that seemed most like what Cinchi would do. So, there's that. Obviously, we have eggs. Now, I did look up a few recipes on how to make fluffy omelets. Some of them recommend using 2 tablespoons of milk as well, which I don't have out here on the counter, but will probably be using when I actually make the actual omelets. And I just picked some regular eggs. We're probably gonna do 2 to 3 per omelet for my brother and myself because I don't want too big of an omelet, but enough to cover the stuff that we're gonna chop up and make for the thing. Also, they recommended actually putting some seasoning in the omelet as well because you don't want it to be bland. So for the bacon and for the other ingredients, we're gonna be having salt, pepper. I am a big fan of minced garlic. I have this in my refrigerator. I have this in my cupboard at all times. I'm a big garlic fan. We're gonna ward off those vampires and stick with some minced garlic. You can also get it if you don't like it wet. You can get it dry that you can just add to the mix, but I think that for mixing this in with the omelet and to get a little bit more flavor, I like the kind that's actually like pretty fresh. So we're gonna do that. Then I'm also gonna put in some crushed red pepper as well. I don't have any paprika on hand. I don't like things too spicy. My brother likes things a lot more spicier than I do, but we're gonna put some crushed red pepper in as well to add some flavor into the bacon and into the other ingredients. And then as far as the mandrakes go, that was my big concern of like what could replace a mandrake. And at first I thought Bardock. Bardock seemed to be the one that online people were like, yep, that's the one that's closest to mandrake. And I was like, cool. Well, guess what? in the southern Midwest of the US, nobody eats Bardock apparently. I went to all the grocery stores, they were like, Bardock, girl. So in Underdark Cellars video, they had to settle for potatoes. But what they wanted to use and what I ended up using was actually getting some lovely parsnips. So I'm gonna be real with y'all. I've never eaten a parsnip before. So this channel is getting me into some different tastes that I normally would not go in, but this just looks like a very quiet mandrake. It has the same look, but definitely does not seem as loud. So I'm gonna go chop these suckers and cube them up, get the bacon cubed up and ready to go before my brother gets here, and then that way that'll kind of shorten a little bit of the procedures before we make ourselves some lovely brunch omelets. So I'll see y'all back here in just a second. So we're back, my brother's here, and we've got the basilisk bacon going. I'm a little bit concerned because they did say that this was their finest bacon. Now, usually that's kind of like when they say new and improved taste, but I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. I will be honest, cutting through it, I have a lot of envy for Senshi because it was a little bit, there's some fat in this, and you can see we ain't gonna need any extra oil for the parsnips because there's gonna be plenty in here to use after we get the bacon out, to use for not only the parsnips but also the omelets themselves. You're not going to need butter for this, which I have been curious about. So definitely, if you're going to make this, do your bacon first so you can use the grease in order to be able to use the grease on the parsnips as well as the egg itself, and that way it doesn't stick to your pan, basically. Now, my brother was giving me a hard time because he believes that, like Underdark sellers who decided to use potatoes for theirs, they should have used potatoes. But I maintain that the parsnip is more like mandrake. Neither of us have really had parsnips before, so they do smell really good though. So I was kind of like chopping them up into cubing them and was like, you could have like a whole candle with this smell. Don't you agree, bro?
No.
He thinks that it's a bad choice. I think it's perfectly fine. Now, something else I also did, and I'm going to move my bacon around. I want to get the bacon extra crispy because we're going to be putting it into the omelet, and I want it to be super crisp. Like a bacon bit, you can tell that cubing these was not the most, they're more like, instead of cubes, they're more like rhombuses. They're more like basilisk rhombuses or rhombi. But my theory is that they did say with the parsnips, anytime you cook a vegetable, especially pan fried, it will shrink. So that's gonna all fit inside the egg pretty well. I've also gotten this ready by lining our little bowl. We're gonna let the bacon sit in here while we're doing the parsnips and kind of soak up any excess grease, only because when we put that in the egg, we don't want the egg to be, we don't want our omelets to be greasy. That's the last thing we want. So we're gonna be keeping this. I'm gonna let this go for a little bit more and then put it, and then kind of fish it out into the bowl before we do our parsnips, and make sure it gets nice and crispy before we do that. The other thing that I've been doing while we wait is I do have my brother doesn't know we're putting milk into the omelets. His face, it's just 2 tablespoons. It's a really little bit. You're not even gonna notice it. It's gonna make it really fluffy. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. I'm a professional. But he does not look convinced. But I also went ahead and pre-measured out into these nondescript, not in any way symbolic of our journeys in cooking, little glasses. But I went ahead and put zooming in on them. But I went ahead and put the paprika, not the paprika, but the pepper flakes, as well as the salt and pepper in these to go ahead and have it measured out, because it just said a pinch of each and then a little bit of pepper flakes for the omelet. So I'm gonna get this into the bowl, and then I'm gonna go ahead and kind of fish this out. We're gonna basically separate, oh yeah, that's gonna need to soak that up there. And luckily I heated it on a really low heat because I didn't want, you can kind of see me putting it into the bowl there. I didn't want to get the grease too hot because the last thing I want is to get popped by grease. Getting popped by grease hurts and it's not fun. So we're going to just let that simmer down in there, and we're going to split that up when we actually do the omelets. Now what I'm going to do is, actually, if you live in the Midwest or the South in the US, I don't know if other countries do this, but if your grandmother or mother or aunt or uncle or whoever, a lot of them would just save a lot of the leftover bacon grease into like a little jar or something to use later instead of butter and instead of oil. So I'm gonna pour a little bit of this, and this seems like it could be dangerous, so we're gonna just hold on a second.
Get another bowl.
Should I?
Get a bowl, set the cup in the bowl.
Yeah, and set the cup in the bowl. And look at you. Look at you being all reasonable. All right, we're gonna just, don't doubt me. Oh yeah, there's a lot of grease in that. All right, we're gonna save some of that grease for the omelet and set that down there. And we're gonna leave the rest of that in here with the bacon grease. And we're gonna pour in our parsnips. Ooh, they're already simmering. They're already sizzling. Oh man. Sizzling already. And so what I'm gonna do now is, I really like minced garlic. I think it adds a little bit of flavor to it. We're gonna take a teaspoon, because 1 teaspoon of minced garlic equals a clove. And we're gonna put a teaspoon, roughly, maybe a little more. You can't go wrong with too much garlic. There's no such thing as too much garlic. And we're gonna put a clove of that in there. And put that back in the fridge. We're gonna get that all in there, get it around. And we're gonna let this cook for a little bit before we start to make our omelet. And when this is done browning and looks like it's done, then we will get the omelet ready. And we'll come back to y'all here in just a second. All right, so we're back. As you can see, we've got the parsnips, we've browned them, we got them soft. The garlic looks a little burnt, but it'll be fine. So, what we're doing now is I've added a little bit, to my brother's chagrin, I don't have regular milk. So I put 2 tablespoons of almond milk. It's not sweetened, so it shouldn't make the omelet taste weird. And then I'm whisking it up with 2 eggs. We decided on 2 eggs because that seemed to be the way to go. I did add a tiny bit more bacon grease into the pan, but honestly, that whole giant shot glass of terror, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. Probably dump it, but it does not seem to need more bacon grease than it already really had. I just added a little bit more so it wouldn't be crazy, but we're going to set that right there and obviously rinse off. And we're going to first pour this whole thing in. Yep. We're also going to take one of these and sprinkle over there. I'll give you this one.
No, you really don't.
Or this one will be probably mine. Okay, anyway, so what we're gonna do is let this kind of settle in there until the edges get to where it's good enough to flip. And kind of just go along with that way. Again, your bacon grease is gonna help it not stick like it's wanting to kind of with the spatula.
You probably should have added that stuff as you were whisking.
No, it'll be fine. We'll do that on the other one. All right, we're gonna let that kind of get to this point where it'll all get in the center. All right, now this is the part that I'm the most afraid of, because obviously we're not gonna flip it that way. This ain't like a pizza. But at the same vein, I need to flip it before I put my stuff in, so. Or I could go, do you think I could go ahead and put my stuff in before flipping it over?
Put it on one side, that way when you flip it over.
Yeah, we'll just do that. All right, so we're gonna turn down our heat just a little bit. And then I'm gonna take about half of the bacon, and then about half of, we said we might have a little too much parsnips, so we might save a little bit for the side, kind of like when you have breakfast potatoes, you just have like breakfast potatoes on the side. But I might add like a little bit more. I want more potatoes in mine, or more parsnips rather. All right, so then what we're gonna do is take this one side of it and flip it like that. Now the trick is going to be to get it all on there. This actually heated up really good, so we're going. Ah, we did it! We did it! We did it! See? And then this looks about done, so we're going to transfer it over to this plate. The fluffiness. All right, so give me just a second and I will make my brother's. It'll probably look a lot better, and then we'll come back to y'all with the finished result. I decided to also show making my brother's omelet because it will probably look better. And to do like a take 2 on it. So first thing we did was whisk up the milk as well as the egg yolk. To get it to, I just want to mainly get the egg yolk mixed up in that. Unfortunately, I dropped my whisk a second ago, so I had to get my other whisk, which is much bigger. So maybe though, maybe it'll make it fluffier. We're gonna go with that logic. And I put a little bit of bacon grease, just like literally a dollop, into the pan because that omelet soaked up pretty much all the rest of it. So we're gonna take that out, and I'm obviously gonna have to do a lot of cleaning after this is done. But we're gonna put that in overall. There we go. Stick that in there. And then as my brother did point out, I should have probably mixed that in, but we're gonna spread it out a little more evenly this time. There we go, much better. We're gonna get this spread around. Like I was talking about in the reaction itself, the episode I just watched was episode 3, which was the living armor episode. And I thought about, bro, we could have done like calamari or his face, or did like calamari or some mollusks or clams and cooked those up. Did that sound like a better venture than this?
There are levels when dealing with seafood. Calamari and stuff is a little bit higher on the list.
That's what I was thinking, and I feel like sometimes Laios, when he says he burnt the potato soup, I feel like that as a chef. So I'm not quite at Cinchi's level. Like I talked about in the reaction, what I do like is the fact that Cinchi was able to say in the episode that, hey, I'm not used to working with this type of food, so it may turn out great, or it may not turn out great, and that level of honesty is something I really appreciate. But I did like episode 3 a lot, but we'll definitely, whatever episode 4 gives us, that'll probably be the next cooking venture, because I don't think we're going to be making mollusks or clams. Not for this go around. All right, this actually does look a little bit fluffier than the last one. So we're going to take our remaining bacon, put that in there, since he likes more bacon.
A little bit.
Oh, you don't want a lot of parsnips?
No.
Okay, my brother is not being as ambitious, so we're just gonna do a little bit of parsnips. I'm probably gonna eat the rest of them on the side, so sucks to be you. But and then we're gonna take the egg and gently fold it over. Honestly, this is probably one of the easier things I've ever cooked. I would probably cook this for breakfast a lot, even if I didn't have parsnips, just the bacon. And I've got a ton of leftover bacon, so this is probably going to be my breakfast for the next several days, just without the parsnip. But I actually don't think we need to flip this over. This one looks like it's pretty much getting about all the way done. So, all right, well, now we'll go see how great they taste. All right, so now we're ready to open up our basilisk omelets and see how they turned out. Now, this one is not as fluffy as I would say Underdark Cellars is, but I'll have my brother get like a little close up. The garlic's a little burnt on there, but moment of truth. My brother did ask for ketchup to put on his omelet like a savage, and when I told him that I didn't have any, I was met with a lot of judgment. So I want to say that I'm not having ketchup with mine, but you could do ketchup, you could do barbecue sauce, you could do maple syrup if you really like sweet things, or you could just have it regularly like the recipe calls for. Since you didn't need ketchup, brother's like, since you didn't need ketchup. All right, let's test this thing out. This is much better than the hot pot. This is, oh, I just got a whole thing of pepper flake. Oh, I just got a mouthful. Remember that one side of the omelet?
I told you.
It's coated with pepper flake.
I told you when you're adding the spice and stuff, add them to while you're whisking.
That was a better choice, so you should all listen to my brother and add it to the whisking. The salt and pepper works out fine, but damn, that pepper flake, oh no, it was all on one side of the omelet. Obviously bacon and eggs you can't beat, but my brother did not want a lot of parsnips, so I got more of them, and honestly, they taste like home potatoes, which is like little home fries. They taste like potatoes. I'm actually kind of amazed, and now that I've had parsnips and they're cooked like this and taste this good, I'm probably going to start using parsnips instead of potatoes. My brother probably won't believe me, but I think they're just as good as potatoes. I'm actually kind of amazed. But this is, all in all, this is very American. I feel like bacon and eggs and basically a potato with the parsnips, it just tastes like breakfast. So I encourage you all, if you get a chance, make yourselves an omelet. It doesn't have a lot of ingredients and it's really, really tasty. So make yourself a basilisk omelet whenever you get a chance. All right. So I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe. Take care. I'm going to finish this amazing brunch and I'll be back with y'all next week with episode 4 of Delicious in Dungeon Meshi. Bye.